Have you ever wondered how a country can go from a low-income agricultural nation to the world's second largest economy in just a few decades? Well, that's the story of China. Back in the 1980s, China was far from the economic powerhouse it is today. Fast forward to now, and it's a completely different picture. With trillions of dollars in exports, a colossal industrial capacity, and trade networks spanning the globe, China has firmly positioned itself at the very center of the world economy. So how did this incredible transformation happen? It all started when China earned the nickname the factory of the world. Think about the things you use every day. Your smartphone, your clothes, even the solar panels on your neighbor's roof. There's a very high chance a huge portion of them were made in China. From high-tech electronics to basic steel and textiles, China's manufacturing output is simply staggering. For years, this was the engine of its growth. But the story doesn't stop there. Lately, China has been rapidly shifting gears. It's no longer just about making things for other people. Now it's about creating its own world-class technology. You've probably heard of brands like Huawei, a giant in telecommunications. Or maybe you've even seen a BYD electric car on the street. Companies like KTL are dominating the global battery market. And of course there's TikTok, the social media app that has taken the world by storm. These brands represent the new face of China's economic power. Innovative, ambitious, and global. But China's ambition extends far beyond consumer goods and manufacturing. It's making huge strides in some of the most critical fields of the future. We're talking about artificial intelligence, advanced semiconductor technology, state-of-the-art surveillance systems, and even ambitious space programs. In these areas, China isn't just catching up. It's becoming a serious competitor to the United States, challenging the long-held technological dominance of the West. This tech race is one of the defining stories of our time, with implications for everything from our economy to our security. At the same time, China is expanding its influence on a global scale through a massive infrastructure project known as the Belt and Road Initiative. Imagine a modern-day Silk Road, but instead of caravans, it's built with high-speed rail, ports, and highways. Through this initiative, China has provided trillions of dollars in financing to more than 150 countries across Asia, Africa, Europe, and even Latin America. These projects are building new trade routes and connecting economies, but they're also creating a web of economic dependency. Countries that take on these loans often find themselves deeply tied to China's economy and political interests, giving Beijing significant leverage on the world stage. So, what does this rapid rise truly mean for the rest of us? Is China on its way to becoming a hidden superpower, quietly building its strength under the radar? Many experts believe so. They argue that China is not just building economic power, but is simultaneously developing its technological and military might in a coordinated, strategic way. This isn't just about becoming wealthy, it's about fundamentally reshaping the global order. One of the most talked about aspects of China's domestic strategy is its social credit system. Combined with some of the world's most advanced facial recognition technology and massive data centers, this has turned the country into one of the most powerful digital surveillance states on Earth. The government has an unprecedented ability to monitor its citizens, which raises serious questions about privacy and control. This technological control at home gives it a powerful model that it can potentially export abroad. And then there's the military dimension. China's military modernization is happening at a breathtaking pace. It's developing hypersonic missiles that can travel many times the speed of sound, making them nearly impossible to intercept. Its navy is expanding rapidly, with new aircraft carriers and advanced warships being launched at a rate unseen since World War II. Furthermore, China is heavily investing in AI-supported weapon systems, creating a new generation of smart, autonomous warfare technology. The goal is clear: to build a military that can project power across the Asia-Pacific and challenge the United States' long-standing military supremacy in the region. When you put all the pieces together, a clear strategy emerges. First, create economic dependency through trade and investment, making other countries reliant on China's economy. Second, expand global influence through initiatives like the Belt and Road. Third, dominate the key technologies of the future, from AI to green energy. And finally, establish an alternative center of global power with its own institutions, norms, and values that challenge the Western-led liberal order. This brings us to the big question that analysts and policymakers around the world are grappling with. Is China's rise the inevitable birth of a new superpower, one that will share the global stage with the United States? Or does it represent a growing global risk? A challenge to the international system that has maintained relative peace and stability for decades? There are really two ways to look at this. On one hand, China's economic growth has lifted hundreds of millions of its own people out of poverty and has been a major engine for the global economy. Many countries have benefited from Chinese investment and trade. Proponents of this view say that China's rise is a natural and positive development, and that the world should find ways to cooperate with Beijing on shared challenges like climate change and global health. On the other hand, critics point to China's authoritarian political system, its human rights record, its aggressive actions in the South China Sea, and its use of economic coercion against other countries. They worry that a more powerful China will seek to impose its will on others, undermine democratic values, and create a world that is less free and less stable. They argue that the world needs to be prepared for a more confrontational relationship and push back against China's attempts to rewrite the rules of the international system. The truth is, China's rise is one of the most complex and consequential stories of the 21st century. It's not a simple narrative of good versus evil. It's a story of ambition, power, competition, and interdependence. What happens next will depend on the choices made not just in Beijing, but in Washington, Brussels, Tokyo, and capitals all around the world. Will we find a way to manage this new era of great power competition peacefully? Or are we headed for a new kind of Cold War? The world is watching, and the stakes couldn't be higher. What do you think? Is China's rise a golden opportunity or a looming threat? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the forces shaping our world.